We've talked about the landscape of transformation in the financial industry. Let's talk about the specific elements of challenge that crop up. For you, what's the most challenging part of making that transformation for a CEO, for boards within these institutions?
I think clearly it's got to be staying focused on what is relevant for the customer. It's all too easy to just put a digital platform out there without appreciating what it really means in terms of delighting the customers, getting a better customer experience. And so a lot of times, not enough time is spent on understanding what the customer really needs. And to me, that's a really important part of getting this right, of understanding, doing the right requirements and research and voice of the customer and various methods around customer journeys and so on. Just making sure that the digital platform will ultimately benefit and, importantly, be used by the customer.
What does that involve, though? I mean, does that just mean a nicer looking website? Does that mean putting your forms up on the web so you can fill them in digitally? I mean, how much of a change does that involve?
I think in the marketplace, it's unfortunately there's too much of the let's just put a cosmetic front end and make something digital. Clearly, it's much more than that. And so that really, to get this right, we believe that we really need to look at how the customer would actually interact with the financial institution. Let's say retail banking. How would they take a transaction end to end, from the moment they apply for a loan to the time that the loan actually gets dispersed? So an end-to-end view of that digital process is extremely important. And so as part of that process as well, it's just figuring out what would they like to get as product recommendations, as advisory. Do they prefer more advisory versus sales? And the only way to really understand that is ask the customer. But what's interesting is a lot of times when digital platforms are deployed, it tends to be a little bit inward looking. Well, let's go and improve the productivity of relationship managers. Let's lower the cost to serve for our front office. And that's all well and fine in terms of productivity and efficiency gains for the bank itself. But again, what does it do for the customer?
But what you're talking about here is redesigning the customer relationship and, from what I'm getting from you, to a certain extent, redesigning the product itself. And that brings up all sorts of other issues, doesn't it? I mean, regulatory requirements, your interaction with the customer and how you present products is all about dealing with governments, and in ASEAN that can be very problematic, can't it?
Yeah, so that's right. I think apart from getting it right for the customer, surely the other biggest challenge that we see for financial institutions is navigating through the complex and somewhat, in some cases, somewhat ambiguous regulations we have within ASEAN. ASEAN, as we all know, has got very different levels of maturity from a financial services standpoint. The regulations are also quite different. But from a customer standpoint, they don't really care. What they want to be able to is to be able to have a relationship with their bank across multiple countries, move their investments where they need to. And so financial institutions need to really be clear about what is permitted in each country and what is not.
For the institutions, clearly there's no substitute here for maintaining a constant, vigilant eye on what the regulators are doing, because this is going to be a daily consideration.
Absolutely. And I think we see this in terms of the collaboration that needs to happen between the regulators, the financial institutions themselves, the very exciting and evolving fintech ecosystem and the partners, stakeholders that operate in that system. The more collaboration that can happen, the more understanding in terms of needs and perspectives from all the different stakeholders, the better I think the system will land in terms of arriving at something that is innovative, but at the same time compliant.
You know, with the institutions themselves now having realized the need for rapid change, are they happy with the regulatory framework and environment and how it's evolving? Do they think it's moving fast enough to keep up with their needs?
Obviously, there are some jurisdictions that are moving quicker and are much more open than others with regards to adapting their regulations to support a digital ecosystem, and the others that are more passive. So what I'm about to say is a bit of a general statement, if you like. But in short, and this has come through, many financial institutions wish that there is a quicker pace with regards to, and more with regards to financial integration, that there is more top-down direction setting, more standardization of policies, and more enablement of the factors that will make this an easier place to put financial transactions through.
How can EY help institutions actually make sense of that very difficult landscape?
There's a few areas. So number one, we understand the challenges. We understand the challenges intimately because we do work with the leading financial players in ASEAN. We interact regularly with the regulators and understand their thinking. And so we think that we can play a key role in facilitating the collaboration and discussion that is so important in terms of creating a more robust and integrated framework for the purpose of enabling digital transactions in ASEAN.